got it pulled up here so I can take a look.
There we go.
Yep, we're live. All right. Where's my music?
Thank you, Maggie.
Give me just a second. We're almost ready to go live. I mean, we're showing up live, but we're almost ready. Alrighty, welcome everyone. We are live. This is Travel Gaming here. We are live here on Twitch, on YouTube, and on TikTok with the post blog reveal and some Feud setups for the weekend. So, the blog tonight was pretty basic in my opinion. I think that would be the best way to kind of put it from the blog. We're definitely going to have our reactions and all that with it. But I feel like it was just a pretty basic thing. I want to give a shout out to David. Appreciate the subscribe on YouTube, man. If you guys ain't hitting that subscribe or follow button on any of the platforms, go ahead and hit that. That's how, we can keep doing what we do here within the streams. So, as far as the blog goes, I feel like it was a pretty basic blog, pretty basic on that end. Nothing really surprising coming out of it as far as looking at it, at least in my opinion. Everything that was said earlier in the week pretty much stayed with it. We'll still go over it, but I just feel like it was pretty standard for a blog.
Pretty cut and dry. I mean, there were a couple of surprises as far as like what could be expected on the prize wall, as far as like either shards or skill plates. But other than that, like I said, it's pretty much basic, pretty much cut and dry, straight to the point. So it's kind of like we already knew what to expect at this point.
Yeah, I mean that's where I'm kind of at. It was just a pretty, from my opinion, it was pretty basic, pretty cut and dry. Um, you know, some of the shards that are thrown up there. One of the biggest things I think that came from the blog is the Hard Times Big Boss Man, the striker, is getting a revamp as far as an entourage ability where multiply gems will do 80% less damage. Um, Definitely something to do that, something with that there that I think could really work. You know, especially on the female side of things. I don't know how you could use it with the male side. But on the female side, I think it could work. Um, Guess especially against your flares and all that. So I think that's a big one there in my opinion. Um, as far as that goes, but anything else, I feel like it's just pretty cut and dry there. We'll go over some of the shards. I think Goldberg is probably the biggest one. The striker Goldberg, they're finally going to put shards out for him, which that's to me the big one, along with Trish Stratus, Canadian Icon, um, King General Gunther, Revenge Tour Live, Vicaria, Big Papa Pump, Out of the Bloodline Sammy, Massive Bronson Reed, $1 Million Corporation Bam Bam, Acro Sammy the Champ, Penta, Bionic Redneck, Last Time It's Now Cena, Rex Regum Triple H, Queen of the Ring Nia, Hip Hop Hustler Cena, Hustle Loyalty Inspect SE Cena. So, I mean, definitely a lot of options there. What got me was the skill plates with the Vicarious Crest and the Timeless Style. That was probably one of the biggest things that got me as far as what we're looking at as far as all that goes.
Timeless Style, aka Tippy Plate.
The Tippy plate. They're also coming out with a new plate. No information on that yet as far as what it's going to do. But, the moment we get some information, we'll go live and we'll go over it. Sunday, there will be a blitz. If you want to run it on normal, you just need 2 Attitude Era people. If you want to run the Champion Split, you're going to need an Attitude Era and a Modern Era at 6 silver, and then 3 Attitude Eras at 6 silver if you want to run the Champion Splits. Now, you get those tickets by doing your feud, so the higher you score, the more tickets you get, which is going to help you, in your solo run for the weekend. Other than that, I mean, like I said, the blog was pretty standard. I like how they're trying to incorporate Backlash into, like, the tours and all that. I just don't know how I feel about it with it being this kind of month, an Attitude Era month, how you can really tie that into it at the end of the day. But hey, I'll give them props for trying. Now let's get into the big thing: Flash Feud requirements this weekend. I think that's where the biggest thing comes into play, right? Flash Feud requirements. Okay. So, part of a big chunk of what we're gonna do tonight is more feud lineup setups, more talking about the stuff that comes with that, I think, because I think that's a big thing this weekend, I think. At least to me it is. I don't know how you guys feel, but at least to me it is. That's a big point thing. So, and even looking at it really helps my lineup a little bit because now I don't have to waste some coaches and trainers that I thought I was going to have to on certain people.
And a lot of the few lineup you should as far as like CSS, you should be able to double dip and knock the majority of those CSS out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, the CSS, the 20-hour CSS has kind of been standard for the last couple months now. They don't feel like it's a big difference anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just kind of standard. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. We do have another person, Benji, in the chat. Benji, I mean, I feel like that's just kind of standard nowadays, don't you, Benji?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, so for that, I just kind of plan on that as it is. You know what I mean? It's not something I really look at any different. I mean, I'm gonna run my stuff the way I run it anyway, so it's not changing anything. At the end of the day, for me anyway. I know for some people it may change their whole strategy, but I feel like if you've got a big enough roster, it shouldn't change your strategy anyway. Um, at the end of the day, what I like is they did change the +1 to yellow moves on the bottom line. That is one of the things I am liking. It is going to affect how I run some stuff, but I don't think it's going to affect it in a bad way. You know, I just don't feel like it's going to affect it in a bad way. Just means I'm going to move some little things around, but I don't know how I want to play this yet. That's just kind of where I'm at.
And then your actual CSS characters for Feud itself, it's going to be Penta, the new Big Boss Man, the last time was Malcina.
Yeah, but again, I feel like that was announced on Monday night. So, again, they didn't really change anything.
It wasn't directly to the team. They just now made it more specific this time around.
Yeah, they just gave the points out this time around, which I think is a big thing. Leech gems, blast gems, trap gems, and bleed effect getting 200% bonus. I think that's going to be big with purple and blue gems getting 100%. So you're going to have to set your lineup accordingly. But anyone who does leech gems and purple gems, I think Big Papa Pump's going to be a big hitter this weekend.
As well as Tonga and Rosie.
So Rosie's one of those I still wouldn't use in Feud just because I don't know. Even though he's going to get those boosts like he is, I don't think he's going to still hit like he can. Tama and Big Papa Pump, they're going to hit for, normally if you have everything set up right, they're going to hit for, 35, 40 million normally. Now they're going to hit for that 80, 85 million range. So, they're going to be big hitters this weekend. Rosie, I just don't feel like is going to be that big of a hitter.
I honestly think he will be because if he has the superheroes moment maxed out, his leech gem damage is 400%.
I get that. I just feel like he's too slow to be using in Feud. You got to remember, Feud's all about speed at the end of the day, and I wouldn't want to run Rosie at the end of the day there. That's just my opinion. But Rosie's not someone who I'd be looking at like, if I see Rosie in the Feud lineup, I'm gonna be like, yeah, this is over.
But yeah, Tama Tonga, if you got the plate, skill plate, the strap, and then plus the new
Tama's gonna be nasty.
Even Tonga, which is gear, with purple gems is 400%.
There's a couple people I think are going to be nasty this weekend. I think you're going to see a lot of Hall of Fame Goldbergs this weekend because of the striker requirement on the bottom line. It's just going to be a matter of what you can do. Now, plates and, belts and all that are going to be a big thing depending on where your faction's at and what you're running. I could see a lot of armored 2 metals this weekend to counteract all the boosts that you're getting this weekend compared to normal. So that's a big thing with me as far as what I'm looking at when I'm setting up my lineups and I'm setting up my people, you know. But someone like Hall of Fame DDP, he's not going to be affected by that at all, just because power gems, the medals don't help defend against power gems. They don't help defend against per damage, gem per damage. So I think that's a big thing there as far as
If you
what you're
right,
looking at.
but if you have the coaches, if you don't need to use Tanner Hogan for that, and if you have that line bonus, there are those coaches that do help bring down those power gem damage up to 80%.
Yeah, I just don't feel like you see that a lot. Like someone who runs Hall of Fame
So
DDP all the time. Um, someone who runs Hall of Fame DDP all the time. I just don't feel like you see that a lot because it's not something you're really looking at the end of the day. That's not something people are really looking at because you're not really seeing that come in, right? And I think
that's
that's the biggest thing there at least when I'm looking at it, right? Like, I'm not going to go in there and try and set up Hall of Fame DDP like that and be worried about that because if it happens, it happens at the end of the day. That's just how I feel at the end of the day. You know, it's not something that I can really be worried about because there's so few of them, unlike the multiply gems. There's not enough that's going to
right.
reduce the damage down on power gems as much. And with Hall of Fame DDP, if you got the moment, if you got the other stuff that comes with it, that's something that I think that a lot of people forget is what his power gems really do at the end of the day. So, I mean, you got to play it how you got to
Okay.
play it, and I'm 100% around that. But,
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
And a lot of people don't play. A lot of people don't play defensively. They play offensively too.
well, and,
They're
and
trying to
again,
throw as much damage as they can.
it's coaches and trainers at the end of the day. If you got the stuff, you got the stuff. And if you got the stuff, it don't matter what someone puts on it at the end of the day. You just got to have the right stuff.
Right.
So, one of the things I'm looking at, whenever we're talking a feud lineup, is especially on this middle line, 100% red gem damage, 1+ mood charge, 20% war score. I want that middle line of red gem damage as much as humanly possible right now because that's just crazy. Yes, you got to throw a Cena in there, but even Acro Cena, you can run so many different ways. It's all a matter of how you want to run it. I'm going to run mine triple blue, but because of the leech gems and the 100% blue gem damage, but KO and Fatu there, the red gem damage just screams out right there at the end of the day.
Gnarly.
So,
That's gonna be gnarly.
it's at the end of the day, you got to play to your strengths, and I feel like a lot of people don't do that. You'll see a lot of lineups where a guy will use red gem damage, but it makes no sense whatsoever. But they got him on the bottom line. And it's like, you've got the middle line filled, just flip it. There's an open spot there. So, I think that's a big problem with the community at the end of the day. A lot of people don't look at it other than your top factions. And when you try to correct it or you try to give advice on it, they just don't want to hear it at the end of the day. So that to me is a big thing, when I'm looking at this kind of stuff. When I'm setting up my lineups, I'm looking at it from every which way humanly possible, right? I mean, it's crazy stupid. And guys, if you guys are viewing this and all that, and you need some help with some lineups, or set up some people how we set them up for Feud, just type in the comment section. We've got moderators on YouTube. We got moderators on Twitch. We got moderators on TikTok watching the chats and making sure we're getting any answers any questions that you guys have, as always. But I just feel like this is the weekend where your big rosters are going to really score really well, and your lower rosters are going to struggle a lot this weekend. That's just the feeling I'm getting. Because a lot of the lower rosters don't work up the Attitude Era guys. They don't work up the Red Gem guys because they're not needed as much. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's at least where I'm seeing stuff at. Benji, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I need to start working on my Attitude Era guys.
I mean, I've always said I think the biggest problem with this game is people don't look at what's coming versus what's here versus, even some common sense at the end of the day, right? Certain guys you got to bring up. I think at some point in your roster, you got to have at least one of every class up, at least a 6 silver, good chance of 6 gold, just because of the fact that, you have this stuff coming on.
One every class and one of every era.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even go one of every class as much anymore. But definitely, there's just certain people you got to bring up. You got to have an Austin up. You got to have a Cody up. You got to have a Rhea up. You got to have a Liv up. You got to have a Becky up. They're just, even now, I'd say you got to have at least one Cena up. Just because it is what it is at the end of the day. It is what it is at the end of the day. There's certain guys that are always gonna use. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, there's multiple superstars. You have to at least, like you said, at least one up.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter which one, but you got to have at least one up at the end of the day to.
And now it's Austin, Taker. I mean, these old school guys have got multiple cards. If you don't have, the premium card, at least the second best card within the game, at least bring that one up.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like they're doing a good job of revamping a lot of this, too, to where you have a chance. Because if you don't have a chance there. And I feel like that's a big thing at the end of the day. So that to me is a big thing. If you have it, you have it. So I just look at it from that standpoint more than anything, right? That's just kind of where you got to be at. So something else that I'm sorry I haven't got the video out yet on the pages, but I do want to go over the revamped Taker as well, because I think that's something that we should go over. The Phenom, because I feel like that's something we should be going over at some point. God, I got a shit ton of shards for him. I think we're just gonna level up his moves with the shards. I got enough shards to take him gold, but really don't want to take him gold just because 6 gold, just because of the fact I'm got a fuse for him coming. 5 bronze is getting me through the tour right now. But I feel like he's one that, definitely one you're going to want to take up. It just kind of all plays into how you take him up. And we're going to go ahead and enhance him just because I can. I mean, stars are going to get filled in 2 weeks anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. But, I'm running him purple, purple, red. I don't know how you guys are running them, but that's how I'm running him. I'm running him with Gunther, Kofi. I'm going to take Eddie out just because I feel like I got better people there. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to go over a premium build on him, and we're going to go over a non-premium build, and then a very basic build with him, just because I feel like that's something we need to do. So, you want to have him at 5 bronze. I think that's the bare minimum to get through the tours and all that. Like I said, the best setup I found is purple, purple, red, the premium build. This is where I feel like a lot of people don't look at a lot of stuff. So I'm running Gunther, or Woods, Z-Brett, and Tama. I'm running that because of the gem percentage. Between Tama, Gunther, and Z-Brett, that's an extra 100% on purple gem damage for me. Because Gunther does 40, Brett does 40, and Tama does 30. So actually it's 110%. That's how I'm running them. That would be the premium build. The mid-tier build, and I feel like Gunther is now a mid-tier guy. I don't think he's a premium guy anymore. Do you guys feel that way?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I don't even feel like Z-Brett's a premium guy. If you grind it through, but he's probably the only one out of this that would be quote unquote premium just because it's a zombie, right? But even then, you could go, if you want to go basic, you could go Hall of Fame Eddie. That's only 5% though. You could also go Z Cody for those of you who bought Z Cody off the portal for $15 if you got him. But again, another premium guy I feel like there with Z Cody. Someone else you could use. Legends Era Reigns. Again, probably another premium guy. I don't feel like he's getting premium as bad, but he's still there. Showboat Ray, Spidey Ray as I call him, Master of the Universe Ray. He's been around a little bit more. Here lately in polls and all that. So I feel like, if you didn't have the premium guy there, women's rights, Lacey Evans, 20% purple gem. You just really want to stack it. Now, if you don't have Gunther, you do need that +2, I think. No, you don't really if you got your tour perks maxed out. So if you really want to go premium, put Fatu in there for the 60% purple gem. Again, another premium guy. So if you don't have premium when it comes to the purple gem, obviously Z Drew, Hawk, Razor Ramon, Seth, those are guys that you get pretty good in the game at the end of the day. Can't really find anyone else that would just, scream off. Hall of Fame Molly, Horse Cane War just for the 40%.
Undisputed Future said, well, yeah, you got to take them to 6 gold to get the 60% purple, but
I feel like a lot of people have on that though.
But there's other people that you can use. You don't want to sacrifice your
D-Lo,
resources.
but
you don't want to sacrifice your resources on someone else that you can use.
No, but I feel like a lot of people have just because purple gems are very prominent in the game. So I feel like people have already. Wendy Richter at 20%. So any of those guys, Sheldon Benjamin at 20%, any of those guys are going to give you purple gems that's going to really help at the end of the day. that's a big thing. I think it's where I'm just kind of looking at it from. It's more of, you know, how do you look at that versus how do you don't. So that to me is where everything comes in at the end of the day. Um, Other than that, I mean, I don't really see, it's purple gems at the end of the day. So we've got options there when it comes to that. But that's how I'd run this taker. When you're talking belts, now that's where the biggest thing comes in at. Now I'm gonna do it this way just because I can. I will end up probably moving the strap this weekend. Just more to the fact that it's a 60% gem damage, and I want that big pop pump. So what I'm gonna do is, I don't really see the skill plate that works with him as well, right? But I'm gonna set this up for. I'm gonna set this up for big pop pump at the end of the day, just because I can, more than anything. But there's probably is going to be, there is a skill plate. I'd run the rumble plate maybe on him, or purple gem plate. There's all kinds of options at the end of the day that you could run on him. I just don't feel like it's, something I need to run up skill plates on him for. And then from there, I'm probably running Fury 3s or Armor 2s, depending on where you got him at. If you got him at 6 gold, run Fury 3s. If you got him at 6 anything, if you got him at 5-star, run him at, run him at,
Armor 2s.
Yeah, Armor 2s. Now, again, one of the biggest things I feel like people don't do when they're building belts is they don't look at the secondaries. So I'm going to try and stack the purple gem damage as much as humanly possible. The fact I still do not have a set of purple Armor 2s is absolutely ridiculous. Like, it is.
Especially guys on the medals, just like you said, Chief. This is where a lot of people don't pay attention to their to the other 4 slots on those subs, additional subs on those medals.
Yeah, they don't, and that's a big thing at the end of the day. They don't pay attention to that, and it hurts them. I think at the end of the day, right? Like I think it really hurts at the end of the day when you don't do that. So to me, that's a big thing that a lot of people are not looking at.
That's what I'm looking for.
And, sometimes you just got to piece together what you got at the end of the day. So you either got it or you don't. And, if you have to piece together something, piece it together. That's the only thing I can really say, right? If you got to piece it together, piece it together. Like I am right now. I'm piecing it together just because I have to.
So on Papa Pup, I'm running a 150% strap. I have Marco the Hero or the Rosie plate. He's gonna smack some time. And I got him at 6 silver.
So
and I'm gonna be running Fury 3s on him instead of the Armor 2.
Again, that to me is just what you're gonna want to look at doing at the end of the day, with him. And I think it's just a matter of looking at it from every angle, right? That's all it is at the end of the day. It's a matter of looking at it from every angle. So if you don't have it, you don't have it, kind of thing. Definitely need to do that. So let's look at Big Kevin Nash. I do not have the gear, I don't think.
I ran red black on him at 6-star.
Yeah, that's what
with Armor 2s, and I got through the tour.
Yeah, I'm running it red black with
I got the moment max, of course.
Yeah, I do too. I'm running red black with Butch, Farouk, JD, and Drew McIntyre, just because I want to put more on there. If you got a yeet plate, gonna smack the crap out of everything at the end of the day. So
for those that don't have the new plate, I have all of his gears. I have the Vinny Vegas gear, and I'm running a 100% gem strap for him, as well with the pig plate and the down the rabbit plate. And he's knocking it out the ballpark. I have the moment match.
So I've got a 100%
on.
gem damage belt on him. That, I think, helps out a lot. Again, skill plate wise, I think, you can't go wrong anywhere. Those are all road brakes. I don't feel like it really works as much. Again,
I run both on that move set. He's got both. I'm running both the road brake and the column brake, So I mean, it's going to work in my favor. But that U plate is such a premium plate. It is so damn hard to obtain.
Yeah, and this is one that I feel like, as far as skill plate goes, as far as a basic skill plate, I feel like the Dead Man Sign's a really good option here, just because of the X breaks that you're gonna get. But again, you got to break through more. So that could not be. I just don't feel like there's a lot of good options for this at the end of the day. Unless you got the birthday plate. So I'm not going to put any skill plates on them, and I'm still probably going to turn one this by the time I'm done. Again, a lot of this is, he's running it. I'm running red blacks. So to me, this is any gem damage that you can get off him is really where it's going to play at. Because I'm running 2 red moves, I feel like a Red Fury 3 is the way to go. And then really any color gem really I think is kind of where you want to be at on this. I don't feel like there's any downside anywhere to any of this, in my opinion. So we're going to go in here. I'm going to take it off auto because that was kind of stupid of me. Have it on auto. And I feel like this is just where, this is just common sense at the end of the day, right?
Right.
Yeah, 4 million, not the greatest hit. I don't have them leveled. I only got them at level 220, so I feel like that hurts a little bit at the end of the day. But at the same time, I'm just going to try and get through the tour. If I need to go buy props, I'll go buy props. I'm not too worried about that, at the end of the day there. I mean, he's going to sub again. So, again, guys, any questions about any feud lineups for the weekend, how to set it up, we are here for you. We are here to answer those questions. We want to be here and answer those questions for you because I know some of you guys aren't getting the right responses from your faction. And we still got openings here at the Core family. If you guys are ever interested in joining, just hit one of us up. My Discord's God Mode TC. Just hit me up there. We will get you in. That will never be a problem. We will find a way to get you in. So I feel like without a prop down, you're not beating this Seth. Unless you got him higher, I just don't feel like you're going to do the damage without the gear.
I beat him.
I mean, you probably got...
So I get a red break, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much have... I mean, you probably already had him up just because he was your best hitter, Mr. Free to Play. He is not...
I haven't taken bronze. I had to take him up. I am at 4-star bronze when I had him. He's the last guy to max my moment, though, so I took him up.
Yeah, I mean, I never brought him up. That was just my stupid decision.
Yeah, I didn't have a choice.
So, that was just my stupid decision at the end of the day. Might be able to do something here with it. Might actually be able to hit here. I'm just honestly surprised they're kicking out, even with all the gem defense we have on them. But again, I think that's just the new way of the game at this point. So, that's how you run Kevin. I still think you're going to need a red prop down to beat this Seth if you haven't worked him up and don't have the gears. I think that's my biggest problem. I don't have any of his gears at the end of the day. So, another person we're going to take a look at here is going to be Brutus the Barber Beefcake. So, I went ahead and got him at, where I got him at. I haven't got a belt on him. I'm running him black, green. And I'm going to play the power gems. I think at 5 stars, triple black. But really, I don't think you need that 3x2 area into power gems. So I think black, green is a great way. Just because of that bleed damage at the end of the day. But I'm going to stack the power gems. So, MOD Taker, Kofi, Turtle Kofi, Turtle Ray, and Bliss. You're going to get through this just fine with that setup, I think, at the end of the day. So let's go ahead and do a match here, and we'll show everyone what this looks like. So I'm always going to hit the bleed first, just because that bleed is just nasty. It's going to make more green gems. And it's a combo move, so that really helps. Then we're going to throw out a bunch of power gems here. And then the finisher. You're going to do damage per power gem, which is something new that I can't remember a single person that has that. Maybe you guys can, but I really can't.
None I can think of.
Yeah, so that really helps. So, I mean, if you can stack that up, that works really well at the end of the day. So, I wish I had him at 5-star right now because I don't need a Seal Act like Slate, but I really would like that 100% Striker Gem damage belt and move damage belt. I'm not going to lie. I'm hoping by the end of the weekend I have enough tokens to take him up. Is what I'm really hoping for. So, yeah, I mean, that's really about it for tonight. I don't really feel like there's a whole lot more we can go over. We could do some stip tours here if you guys are struggling with that. There's coins in there. There's stuff in there that you guys can use. Today is red and blast gem. So, obviously, for me, it's one guy. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. It's one guy that I'm using today. Really the same guy I've probably been using all week. Other than yesterday, I used Z Orton last night. For me, it's KO. That's how I'm scoring my points. It's KO. And it's KO by a long shot. This kind of feels like an old school stip tour where if you have the massive hitters, you're going to be okay. Now, for those of you wondering how I run my KO, I am that person that put the birthday plate on him and the red Royal Rumble plate on him. So, deal with that how you may.
I still wish I had that birthday plate. I'm running him with the Hulkamaniac flag and the red Rumble plate.
I mean, I did run the Hulkamaniac plate at one point. I mean, that wasn't even enough red gems to beat him, so that's a little crazy. Z Cody would be a good one too. If you don't have it, we will show you how to run that one here in a second. But, I mean, I don't really need the stip coins at the end of the day. I'm just doing it just to do it. It's more for the armor and loot coins at the end of the day for me. So let me pull up Z Cody here because I feel like Z Cody's probably going to be the better one to use today. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like that's going to be the better one to use.
What's the stip tour? Is it a red gem tour?
Red and blast gem today. For
Last year.
yeah, running blast gems, so Titan plates. You are getting the 99 MP as well, so that's if you equipped it in your perks. If you haven't, you need to go equip it in your perks ASAP. But to me, that's just the way to kind of go. There's no sense in overcomplicating this stuff. It's pretty cut and dry at the end of the day, in my opinion.
The third team's Cody. That'll be my
yeah. I think it's Z Cody. KO if you don't have Z Cody, but yeah, it's Z Cody at the end of the day. With a simple setup, I believe. Yellow, red is how I would run it, just because that's just going to be the easiest way, and then I'm going to stack blast gem and red gem damage out the wazoo. I feel like
just better be glad it's not black and black, because boy, I'd be knocking it out the ballpark every time.
Well, again, I think at the end of the day, it just really all depends on what you got, right? If you got it, you got it. If you don't, right. You don't. For me, if I'm looking at red gems, it's Bubba Ray Dudley and Ghostbuster Austin, because that's 100% red gem damage with the 99 MP. So,
Woo! Premium as they come, boy.
Yeah, I mean, Ghostbuster Austin is about as premium as they come at the end of the day. There's no way around that one.
There's no way to sugarcoat that bad boy.
No, there's really not. That's about as premium comes. No matter how you want to look at it, because that's one you're never going to get back again anyway. So I'm going to boost my red gem damage. I'm going to throw 39 blast gems out just because I can. And then we're going to make 38 into red gems, which is pretty much going to clear the whole board. There goes my Titan plate, and now I'm going to run my Sheriff's badge. I mean, that was 71 million turn one with Z Cody. So, again, if you can get the MP boost, he's going to be nasty this feud. And maybe someone you want to run, and maybe someone I run after I get my 6 with Z Ray, or with New Gen Ray up, Total Ray. Definitely going to be someone I look at the end of the day, right? On running, just because of the blast gem setup and the red gem boost. I feel like he could be dirty this weekend.
Using text, I'm running both. There's hip hop, vanilla ice Cena, how you want to put it, 90 Cena, hip hop Cena, and then I'm also running Shredder.
This is the thing. I don't think this is a feud for Shredder. I really don't think this is a feud for Shredder. I think running Shredder is a liability this weekend. More so along the lines of, I just think it's not the smart play on that one, right? I think there's more options out there because you're not going to get any boost and all that. I get the reason why people like Shredder, but without the multipliers, without the black gem, I just don't feel like this is the feud for Shredder.
Well, I'm not using the box gem setup I should refer it to. I'm using the multi-gem purple setup.
Yeah, no, and even I get that. You're really running it off the bleed, but an anti-bleed belt's going to stop that pretty quick at the end of the day. I mean, I just don't see it, like other people are seeing it at the end of the day.
Holmes and his Ozzy is going to smack this feud.
Again, Ozzy's another one. I'm running him. Don't get me wrong, but he's probably going to come out after my restricted era is done.
He's going to smack, I'm telling you. You got the 200% trap and the 200% bleed.
The thing is,
that'd be nice.
I think the big thing is with Ozzy is I don't run him the way everyone else runs him. I run him black, red.
Yeah, you run him the other way. Yeah.
But with 150% gem damage belt, and a couple plates. I mean, 75% black gem damage. I mean, it's really 175% black gem damage at the end of the day for me. So to
Yeah.
me, there's no reason for me to run him, any other way. There's really
Yeah.
not. And that's a big kicker there that I think a lot of people don't look at, right? If you got it, you got it kind of thing. And that's just kind of where I see it at. Ozzy's just not one of those I'm like, oh, I have to run him this way. No, I can get by right here, you know, with this setup, and I'm pretty well set up because he's getting a +1 on that middle. You're getting a
Yeah.
1. I got to change out, him, Giovanni, but I mean, I just feel like it's no matter what you do, it's there, right? So it's not something I'd necessarily be worried about at the end of the day. I'm putting him in there for the restricted error. Once he gets done, it's probably going to be Tama. If I don't run Tama, it'll be someone else. That may be where Zeke Cody comes in. It's just all a matter of how you want to run it. At the end of the day, I just don't feel like that's the way to look at it. I mean, another one I'm looking at is Hall of Fame DDP, and the way I run him is definitely going to be different this feud because I am getting a +2 with yellow moves. So, that automatically makes me a +2. So, I don't know if I have to run Woods as much as I do. Can I get away somewhere else at the end of the day? Vice versa. So, it is one of those you do have to look at it you have to look at everything the way everything's set up. And that's just how I feel at the end of the day. Taker's taking him a turbo.
With that 200% blast gem, I'm using, this is going to be off. This is going to sound weird, but I'm using Lynch Holland because I have a 150 strap on him. 150 strap with the Zeke Chelsea plate on him. Running him triple black, and then I also have Seth's ultimate plate on him as well.
Yeah, again, I think it's all just.
Yeah, I mean that's not a bad thing at all.
No, I think it's all how you want to play it at the end of the day, right? If you want to play it a certain way, play it a certain way. But at the end of the day, you've also got to become comfortable with what you're running. You can't just. I don't feel like you can go in there and run blindly. And so, if you're not comfortable running it a certain way, well, this is all I'm saying. If you're not comfortable running it a certain way, don't run it. Don't run it. You got to be comfortable running it. And I think that's where a lot of people mess up is they're not comfortable running a lineup at the end of the day like they should be. I'm perfectly comfortable running any lineup I have to, and that's where I think you have a lot of your problems at. People are just not comfortable running, lineups when they change because they don't have their players built up. So, but I'm also looking at it from an MP standpoint. I'm also looking at it from, this standpoint, that standpoint. It's very much a, how can I pull this off kind of thing.
All right.
Taker's in there. If I take Ozzy out, I can run Macho in there. So, I mean, I can. At the end of the day, it does come down to, however you want to run it. Taker may be the one who gets the defensive medals this one. I haven't fully decided yet. Like, I'm still up in the air as far as where my medals are going to go this weekend. I'll have it figured out by Saturday morning, but it's still one of those, I'm still kind of, all right, who do I want to put medals, where do I want my medals at? Where do I want this at? Where do I want that at kind of thing.
Trying to get a feel of what to expect.
Yeah, it's more just getting a feel of what's, what's gonna work, what's not gonna work, right? And without multipliers getting a boost, you know, it making me think I may take out, Taker. Um,
That
once,
was a big surprise that multipliers were not getting a boost this season.
right? But that's again, it's just kind of I'm also playing for the things. Once Ozzy's done, once Ozzy's
Is Blue
done,
Gem one of them?
huh? Yeah, New
Is Blue
Gem.
Gem one of the boosts?
It's 100%. It's not a big chunk. You're really going to want to play it off the leech gem. That's where you're going to get your big chunk at.
Wait, you said it's 100% for Blue Gems, though, right?
Yes.
I think you know where I'm going with this.
I know where
think
you're.
you know.
I know where you're going with this. Again,
I get plus one move charge for him too.
yeah. I mean that's going to
Right
help
now, middle
him.
line, we're-
That's going to help him, but I don't know if. Yeah, you're getting the +1 move charge, but I feel like if you do that, you're throwing away that 100% red gem bonus. And
well, that's the thing. My powerhouses, they're not that great. They're really not.
no, and,
Other than him, I got Clubber, and that's about it.
well,
And Clubber's not going to do too much.
This is where I kind of look at it from. It's I know where you're coming from on that, but even at 100%, if you're not stacking it on trap gems, if you're not stacking it on leash gems, if you're not stacking on blast gems, 100% ain't a lot like everyone plays it out to be. I know who you're talking about. You're talking about JD. Yeah, that brings it up to 450. He might add on another 15 million. But I feel like with the Armor 2 medals that are going to come and play this to you just because of all the boost, right? You're downing your. I mean, you might get an extra 8 million hit off it versus.
Well, he's got armor juice as well.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like against someone
it's
else.
not even really the gem damage as much as that +1 that I'm getting.
Yeah, no,
that's going to really help him because then I can charge it twice.
No, I get it.
And if I can charge it twice, then he's hitting like a truck, and not for 26 to 30 mil.
Yeah,
he's actually hitting for 60, 70 with armor 2s, and that's
no, I'm not saying it's a wrong idea, right? I'm just saying it's
not going to hit as hard, basically.
Yeah, because
you'd expect.
Yeah, because everyone thinks 100% is big, and don't get me wrong, 100% is 100%, right? But I don't feel like it adds as much as everyone thinks it does, just because I've seen it, right? 100% on a purple gem with Big Papa Pump only brings up about 9 million. But when you're talking 300% with the leech gems, now you're kind of talking. Like, now that's when the hits really start coming versus anything else. So I feel like it is a, major thing at the end of the day versus anywhere else, right? And that's, again, that's not downing anything. That's not doubting anyone. It's just a numbers game at the end of the day, right? You've got these Armor 2 medals. You're going to see them. I mean, let's not act like we're going to be shocked if we go against opponents with a bunch of Armor 2 medals. We saw it all the Flash Feud, really start taking effect. Really, everyone starting to understand that concept of bringing down that gem damage 400 or 500%. And with as crazy as these boosts are this weekend, you'd almost be stupid not to put armor, as much gem defense as you could on these belts, just because you kind of want to balance it out. And that's what I feel like. That's where I feel like even boosting it, you're not setting yourself up correctly. You know what I mean? Like, you're just not. You're not playing to. I want, at this point, looking at the lineups, looking at everything, I want to maximize everything I can, right? The reason why I'm running Fight 2 this weekend is at least starting, I have a funny feeling that you're going to see a lot of Hall of Fame Goldbergs because strikers are required. And that skip turn is going to really be nasty. And Fatu's really great against showboats. Put him in the middle line with 100% red gem. You're probably hitting 300 million no matter what. So you're not, you're going to turn one that showboat pretty easily. That's,
Yeah.
you know,
it's been glued. It needs to dry.
That's.
Okay?
I feel like you're gonna have all these number twos come up because of Fatu, because the Hall of Fame Gold, but because of PHKO with all these, with all these.
Look, I don't think you're going to see a lot of powerhouse KOs at the end of the day. I think, he is super rare in the game, to where, we can even check on Portal here. So bear with me here 1 second, because I feel like with that, I don't know if you guys have ever checked that or not.
OTC. That's another character that if you got him, and multiply him purple with the purple being boosted. I mean, he's gonna snap, and especially if you got the moment maxed out, that's an additional 50% purple gem damage. That, and then of course you multiply gems are boosted, 5 or more. So I mean, if you got everything, that's another reason why all these.
Here's the thing: if I'm looking at it right, over the last 30 days, KO's only been he's only been used 1 million times over the last 30 days, with less than 4,500 wins. So it's definitely one of those kind of things that, I don't see him being used a lot at the end of the day.
I don't understand why he's not used more. I used to see him all the time, and then I just don't see him anymore.
I think it's more to do with the randomness of the cascade. I also think it's, I'm gonna call out a spade at the end of the day on this one. I also think it has something to do with the ones who have him are bigger rosters anyway. You don't necessarily need them. So they're not necessarily looking to build them like, someone like me who I still have people, but he's just one that, it's always kind of a good ace up the sleeve kind of thing to have built up. So I think it's the cascade. Yeah, it's the cascade kind of risk. All that, you'll see him in boss battles a lot whenever you get a chance to. But at the end of the day, it's just, it is what it is. We could go look at Muda, right? And I feel like that's one, you go look at Muda. Muda's only been used 2 million times this month, with less than 12,000 wins. So it is just kind of, it is what it is at the end of the day, right? I just feel like everyone has so many people that it doesn't matter who you really use, right? You're going to use who you're going to use at the end of the day. And if you're comfortable with them, hey, great. But, I know there's people that's not comfortable with certain people. So it is a very catch-22 at the end of the day there, where, I've always said you got to be comfortable using who you want to use at the end of the day. If you're not comfortable using them, don't run them. Don't run it just to fill a line, and then you get into a feud lineup and you mess up your partner, because I think that's the worst thing anyone can do. So it is that, there is that style of play there that I think a lot of people don't look at like they probably should. Again, that's just my opinion. I'm not saying I'm the end all be all, but at the end of the day, I think you just have to look at it different ways versus other ways. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't make that either, especially the heavy hitters or what you call your one-turn killers. you have to sit back and you have to look at what iffy trainers you have. Are you plus four? And if you have, if you have what you have, your door empty trainers, cool.
Yeah,
Sit back and look at them and see what you have, and that way you ain't got to move around your trainers as much during Feud. That way,
right.
if you got everyone and after your one turn killers and you have your MP trainer set up, plus, your line bonuses or whatever the case is, go in, instead of having to move all your stuff around, you can go and say, okay, I already know what turns I'm going to use. Boom, 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 use E3, I'm going to use E3, blah, 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 blah. That way, you're not holding up your new partner.
Right, and again,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too. Is every time I feud, that's pretty much what I do. I have trainers. I make sure when I'm running people, I go off lines and I go off of my trainers. If I can't put them in my lineup where I'm constantly just having to switch them back and forth, I'm not going to put them in.
yeah, and again,
I'm going to constantly just run what I can.
And again, I think that's just where you see a lot of the this service come out in the game, right? Is you just don't see what you should see at the end of the day. And
also, too, a lot of people don't know that shit. For example, me, I'll throw my own stuff under the bus. I'm not going to say what I would say it is an affiliation strap. I'm not going to say who it was on or who I put it on. But you also have to look at if you have an affiliation strap, which it shouldn't be on someone, and you think you're going to Feud. If you got those chips to move those affiliation straps to your MP trainers, especially your dual ones, I highly recommend that you do it.
yeah, and again, I think it's so situational that I feel like it's so situational at the end of the day, right? That
right.
That if you can run it, you can run it, right? If you can't, you can't. And again, I think that's just how it works at the end of the day. So it is so situational that it's not funny.
I would love to compete against, other people that, how can I put it? They got their roster stacked. I got my roster stacked. They got everything for their lineup. I got everybody for my few lineup, and just make it interesting.
Again,
I don't mind going in. I'm telling everybody, boom, 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 get them my points whatsoever. But I like to be challenging. And here as a late, it's just kind of hard to see those lineups, but like, oh, well, he got me, he barely got me, he got me in the clutch or whatever. Oh, I got him in the clutch. And that's why I kind of like about Feud, because you never know what those things.
So let's see what we get out of a single pull here.
Yo, Tribal.
What up?
I have a question. Do you think you can help me build another title for this feud?
I don't know. The way you got to act after we built that one title, I don't know if we need help or not on that. So,
yeah, my boys, we all word of caution, we all live on this stream. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if you want to admit that you don't know how to build a title on the stream. But,
I mean, I do, but I don't. But either way, because remember when y'all helped me last time, I didn't know what kind of medals, what mean what, and how to really build a title. So I'm not going to act like I do know how to build one, but
yeah,
I have an idea now that you helped me.
I mean, we can take a look at that here in a minute. Well,
yeah, I mean, and there's really two ways to build a title. There's building a title, and then there's building a title. If you're building a title where it's nice and simple, it's like, okay, I'm just going to slap on bonuses. You don't really pay attention to the subsets.
And then
that's just building a title. And then now building a title, that's focusing on the subsets. So let's say I need extra yellow gem damage. I look for yellow gem damage percentage.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's
6%, 15%. It's a massive difference.
There is a difference, especially if you're new versus if you're experienced. If you're new, you're just trying to build a title for a guy. You're not, unless it's one of your crazy hitters. You're not building it to build it. You're building it just to make that guy usable versus, someone who, like me or RB or Mortal, when we build a title, we're building that title for that guy. And we plan on keeping that title on him. Now, we're not going to obviously we're going to change the medals up a lot, but we're still building that title at the end of the day for maximum efficiency. So there is a big difference on that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. A lot of the newer guys don't have the medals, don't have the belts, they don't have the parts to efficiently do it the way it's supposed to be done. So that draws in a whole nother, situation there that I think a lot of people don't look at. But anyhow, stream, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and call it a night here. Well, you know what?
Before we do, I will say this. You guys tune in next week. We haven't picked out a day yet, so stay tuned. Because next weekend being Showdown Weekend, and Showdown Weekend being my birthday, which is on the 17th, there is a matchup giveaway, which will include week 2 of the 7-loop pool, 7-loop pool on for that MLC week for week 2, as well as the Gold Armory loop pack.
Again, we'll get into that probably next week. There's not really a whole lot more to go over. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and end the stream. You guys have a great night. We'll see you on Saturday live for Feud. We'll be live the whole time. We're feuding. Have some really cool stuff this weekend as well. So make sure you